Capacities is nothing but the legal capabilities of parties to enter into a contract. We all know the meaning. Who is called minor? Yes, the person who is under the age group of 18 years. Who is under the age group of 18 years, that person is called minor. A person who is mentally healthy is called sound-minded. If that person is not mentally healthy, then is called unsound-minded. Hello everyone, I'm Arun Kumar, lecturer in Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Dear students, welcome to this second session on unit number 1 on the subject Business Regulatory Framework. So what is the name of the subject? Business Regulatory Framework. So we are in session 2 of unit 1. The topic is Indian Contract Act 1872. What is the topic? Indian Contract Act 1872. So in the last session, dear students, in the first session, we discussed about the general meaning of contract, and we also discussed about what is agreement, what is contract, the definition of agreement and contract, and we also discussed about the essential elements of a valid contract and the different types of contract. So in this session, dear students, we are going to learn about the capacities of parties. So what is this capacities of parties? So capacities of parties is nothing but the capabilities of parties, whether the party is capable or not to get into a contract or not. So if you are not capable or if you don't have the ability to get into a contract, then that contract will not be a valid contract. Okay, so you should be capable, you should have that ability to get into a contract. That is called capacities of parties. So capacities is nothing but capabilities of parties, or what and all the particular party should have to satisfy the conditions to get into a contract. That is called capacities of parties. So here the meaning of capacities of parties. So here capacity or competence to contract means legal capacity of parties to enter into a contract. So what is this capacities? Capacities is nothing but the legal capabilities of parties to enter into a contract. So if a party fulfills all the legal conditions, then that party is eligible to get into a contract. Okay. For example, there are two parties, party A, party B. Okay. So party A and party B. So here party A is a seller, party B is the buyer. So this person, party A, is selling. Okay. Party B is what? Is buying. So here both the parties should have to fulfill the basic legal eligibilities, the legal capabilities of the contract to get into a valid contract. For example, here party A is 30 years age. Party A is 30 years age. Party B is, like, say 16 years age. 16 years age. So here party B is a minor, right? Party B is a minor, party A is a major. But here to fulfill the conditions, both the parties have to satisfy the capabilities. So here party B is not satisfying the capabilities of the parties, that is the age of the party. So here you can't form a valid contract. You can't form a valid contract. So if you want to form a valid contract, both the parties should be capable of fulfilling the conditions. That is what the capacities of parties says. So capacity or competence to contract means legal capacity of parties to enter into a contract. In other words, it is the capacity of parties. It is the capacity of parties to enter into a legally binding contract. Yes, the capacity of the parties to enter into a legally binding contract. That means whatever the contracts you are getting into, if you want to getting into legally, you should be capable of getting into a contract legally. That means you should have to satisfy a few things. You are supposed to satisfy a few things to getting into a contract. So that is what this particular topic says. That is the capacities of contract or the capacities of parties. Moving further, who are competent to contract? That means who are capable to contract. Okay, who are capable to contract. Every person is legally competent to contract. Every person is legally competent. That means every person is legally have the capability or the capacity to get into a contract, if the person fulfills the following three conditions. Yes, every person will be having the capability, every person will be having the capacity to get into a contract. Whoever it is, every person will be having the capacity, but only if they fulfill the three conditions. So which are those three conditions? So those conditions, the first condition is he has attained the age group of majority. He has attained the age group of majority. That means he should be a major, he should not be a minor. If he is a major, if the party is a major, then he is eligible to get into a contract. That means if the party age is 18 years plus, if the party age is 18 years or more than 18 years, then he is called major, right? He is called, what is called, if he is 18 plus, he is called major, then he is eligible to get into a contract. So what is the capacity or the capability to get into a contract? The first capacity or the first condition is he has attained the age of majority. That means he should be a major, he should not be a minor. What is the second condition? The second condition is he is of sound mind. He is of sound mind. So what is this sound mind? Sound mind is nothing but the capacity or the person or the party should be perfectly alright. It should be sound minded. That means you should have a proper knowledge or you should have a healthy mindset. Okay. If you go and have a contract with a person who is not mentally fit, okay, that is not going to be called as a valid contract. If a person is mentally fit, if a person is mentally healthy, that person is called what? Sound minded. That means mentally that person is fit. He is not a person of having a dual kinds of mindset, or is not a person with some other kind of mindset. That person is not an idiot. He is not a lunatic. He is a perfectly pakka mindset person. That means mentally is pakka alright. That person is mentally healthy, mentally fit. That person is called sound minded. So the capacities of partner, in that is supposed to fulfill three conditions. In that the first one is he should be a major. Second one is the party should be sound minded. Next one, the third condition is he is not disqualified from contracting by any other laws to which he is subject to. Yes, in case if he is disqualified by any other contracting law, if the party who is getting into contract, if he is disqualified from contracting by any other law, then is not eligible. He should not be disqualified. Okay, if he is disqualified, he is not eligible. If he is not disqualified from any contracting law, then he is eligible to get into a contract. So in capacities, we have three conditions. If he is a major, if he is a sound-minded, and if he is not disqualified from contracting by any other law, then he is eligible to get into a contract. There is no confusions and there are no restrictions for those kind of parties to get into a contract. Moving further, minor. So who is called minor? We all know the meaning. Who is called minor? Yes, the person who is under the age group of 18 years. Who is under the age group of 18 years, that person is called minor. Yes. So what the definition says, any person who has not attained the age of majority, who has not attained the age of majority prescribed by law. We ourselves can't decide who is called minor, who is called major. So some rules and regulations were formed. We are supposed to follow that, and according to that we are going to decide whether that person is a major or whether that person is a minor. So what it says, any person who has not attained the age of majority prescribed by law is known as minor. That means the person who has not attained the age of majority according to the law, that person is called minor. What the law says? Section 3 of the Indian Majority Act. Section 3 of the Indian Majority Act prescribes the age limit of majority and says a minor is a person who has not completed 18 years of age. Yes, Section 3 clearly clarifies that. Section 3 clearly clarifies that the person who has not attained the age of 18 years, the person who has not completed the age of 18 years, that person is called what? A minor. But the same act also mentions that in the following two cases, a person attains majority only after the complete his age of 21 years. Okay, for all other contracts, for other conditions, the age group is 18 years. If you attain the age group of 18 years, is a major. Okay, less than 18 years is a minor. But in two cases, a person age should be 21 years to call him as a major. In two cases, a particular person's age should be more than 21 years to call him as a major. So which are those two conditions? Situations. The first situation is where a court has appointed guardian of a minor person or property or both under the Guardians and Wards Act 1890. Yes, if the court is appointing any person as guardian, if the court is appointing any person as guardian for a person, for a minor person or for the property, then that guardian age should be 21 years to call him as a major. What is the second condition? The second one is where the minor's property has been placed under the superintendence of a court of yards. Yes, where the minor's property has been placed under the superintendence of a court yards. At that time also, who is going to have the supervise? Who is going to supervise that property? That person age also should be 21 years to call him as a major. Except these two conditions, if any other person want to get into contract, his age should be 18 years. So then he is called as a major. So I hope all of you cleared with the definition of minor and who is called minor and who is called major. Next, moving further, persons of unsound minded. Persons of unsound minded. So what is this unsound minded? We already got to know what is sound minded. Sound minded is nothing but mentally healthy. A person who is mentally healthy is called sound minded. If that person is not mentally healthy, then is called unsound minded. Very simple. If a person is not alright, if a person is mentally not fit, then that person will be called as unsound minded person. So what the definition says, a person is said to be of sound minded for the purpose of making a contract if he is capable of understanding the contract at the time of making it. Yes, if the person is ready to understand the contract at the time of making the contract, then is called sound minded. If the person is not capable of understanding at the time of making the contract, if the person is not understanding the contract at the time of making it, then is called unsound minded. Secondly, if he is capable of making a rational judgment as to the effect upon his interest. Yes, if he is capable of taking any judgment, if he is capable of taking any decisions, then he is sound minded. If he is not capable, if he only get confused with his judgments, then he is called unsound minded. So a person who is able to understand the contract at the time of making the contract, and the person who is ready to take the rational judgment about the contract or about a particular aspect, then that person is called sound minded. If he is not able to understand the contract, and if he is not able to take the rational judgment about the contract, then he is said to be unsound minded. So unsound minded people are not eligible to get into a contract, as well as minor people will also not eligible to get into a contract. So types of persons of unsound mind and their contracts. Yes, types of persons of unsound mind. So few people are called unsound minded. Who are those people? So those people can't get into contract. So in those things, the first person is idiot. Okay, an idiot can't get into a contract. That means a person who talk bullshits, that person is called an idiot, right? A person who is with ignoring kind of attitudes, those persons are not eligible to get into contract. Next, a lunatic. That means a person always with laziness. Those people are not ready to get into contract, or they're not eligible to get into contract. Next, delirious persons. So delirious persons are the persons who are like dead-minded persons. Okay, they'll not think anything. Okay, always they'll be lazy. So those people are called delirious persons. Those people were also not eligible to get into contract. Next, drunken or intoxicated persons. If any person is drunken or intoxicated, those people mindset will not be in a proper condition. So those people were also not eligible to get into the contract. Next, hypnotized persons. Hypnotized persons. If any person is hypnotized and if he is asked to get into a contract, if that person is involved in contract, then that contract is invalid. It is not a valid contract. So if you are taking any person to a contract, that person should be mentally fit and that person should give his own free consent to the contract, then only it will be called as a valid contract. If you are taking a hypnotized person to a contract, then it is not a valid contract, and you can't take those kind of people to a valid contract. Next, mentally decay. So mentally decay is nothing but the persons who are mentally not think anything. Okay, just they will be like dead-minded. They will not think anything about their life or about the contract. They will be not having the knowledge about the contract. So those people were also not eligible to get into a contract, and they were called as unsound minded persons. So who are called unsound minded? An idiot, a lunatic, delirious person, drunken or intoxicated person, hypnotized person, and mentally decay person. So these are all the people are called unsound minded, where they can't get into a contract. So moving further, persons disqualified by other laws. Yes, if any persons disqualified by these many laws, then they are not eligible to get into a contract. If they are not disqualified, then easily they can get into contract. If they are disqualified, then they are not eligible to get into a contract. So there are certain persons who are disqualified from contracting by the other laws of our country. They are as under. Yes, if any person is disqualified under these many laws, then those people are not eligible to get into a contract. In this, the first law is alien enemy. Alien enemy. For example, a war is happening between two countries. Say the war is happening between India and US. If Indian person is in US, then he is called alien enemy. If he is running any business, then he is called alien enemy. So those kind of people can't get into a contract. Next, foreign sovereigns or diplomatic staff. That means the foreign people who are having the foreign diplomatics or the foreign authority who is having superior power. Those people also not get into the contract. Next, corporations and companies. Yes, corporations and companies. According to the Companies Act, if you are disqualified, then you can't get into the contract. Next, insolvents, that means the person who is not able to pay back the debt, the loan amount is called insolvent. So those people will also not get into contract. Next, convict. If any person is called as a convict, if any person is involved himself in a criminal case, if he is called as a convict, if he is called as a criminal, then he is not eligible to get into the contract. So these are all the cases where a person can't get into a contract if he is disqualified, under these laws. So dear students, in today's session we discussed about capacities of parties. Under that we also discussed the 3 conditions which he is supposed to fulfill. That is the age of majority, next sound-minded, and third thing is he should not be disqualified by the relevant laws. And we also discussed about who is called minor, who is called unsound-minded, and we also discussed what are the different laws where a person should not be disqualified. So with this, I'm going to wind up this session. I'll meet you in the upcoming session. Until then, thank you all. Have a nice day. Namaste.